The elaborate, detailed plan of lies, deceit, and betrayal had come to pass. Both Goodman and Chris had played their roles quite well. So much so that they regained respect from their predecessors and, along the way, caused much harm and pain that would never be known. Clint's wife believed Goodman as if everything he said was true and to the point. This was all part of the plan. Remington wasn't gay, and neither was Clint. There was never any counseling sessions trying to purge Remington. If anything, Remington counseled Goodman to allow him to better himself. However, at the end of the day, that would never be revealed. Not even a year after Clint's death, Linda would remarry. Her hatred toward him grew so deep that the only way she could move on fully was to fill his spot with another man, acting as if he never even existed. What she would never know was the man she hated loved her to death, so much to take his own life. Clint had no choice but to take Remington and himself out. He knew, without a doubt, that they would kill both his wife and kids if he hadn't. Clint's last days on Earth were some of the worst he had ever experienced. He had been put into a position to choose his best man or his family. He was forced to handwrite a letter that would deceive the people into believing he and Remington were homosexuals and had been having an affair. At the end of the day, all was done to keep his family alive. Now, sat a Democratic Party without a candidate. It was too late to try to regain the power that they had with Remington. They became like weakened souls, resting on the roadside, not knowing what lay ahead. Chris would now, in only 3 months' time, be called to duty to serve as chief and commander. It was no longer a fight to reach to the top. All the fighters have left the ring. The day Chris was sworn in as president was a somber day. Some sat back and wondered, if only Remington had still been alive, would this be the man standing before them on this day? In Chris's first acceptance speech, as he would finally take office as president, he would make it known to the people how great of a person he thought Remington was. All so somber, a great loss. In due time, Remington's death would slowly fade, only to be just another day to remember on the calendar. With Chris, the economy started to go in the right direction. With him knowing whom to go to keep things in order, the country began to take off to levels people assumed couldn't happen under his leadership. He used the same technique that built up Silverstone. He created jobs, made those who sat home all day, who had the ability to work but choose to leech off the government as their provider, get out and get jobs. With every man carrying his own load, people started to gain a sense of respect for one another. It was no longer about giving man food for a day, but it was about teaching man how to hunt for his food, allowing him to never go hungry again. Chris was surpassing records that his predecessors thought could never be accomplished. Soon, Chris was labeled as the new reformed Ronald Reagan. Chris made it seem simple, almost as if everyone before him didn't know what they were doing. However, what they didn't know was that Chris knew how to get under people's skin. He made sure each one of his advisors had close connection with each of the countries. They knew that if they had close relations with the underground drug lords of each country, everything else would fall into place. 4 years later, Chris would be re-elected for a second term, keeping his record as the chief of success. Some would ask the question, who could stop the powerhouse from continuing to be known as the man with the plan? It seemed Chris could do no wrong with an economy greater than ever before. Even if Chris confessed to what he did to reach the top, people most likely would have just laughed it off as a joke. What took place next would be a shocker to all. Only 3 years after serving 2 terms, he would meet his match.